Hello, everybody. Welcome to Take the Black Live, the show where myself, Dan Selcke of winneriscoming.net, and Mia Johnson of fansided.com discuss all things sci-fi, fantasy, quarantine, Lord of the Rings, Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, Disney Plus, etc. Hey, everybody in the chat. Hey, Sherry. Hey, hello, Julie, of course. Hello, Mia. Hi, Enrica. Thanks for joining us. And Mia, how are you doing on this lovely Wednesday afternoon in quarantine?
Not bad. It's kind of a short week for me. I had last Friday off, I had Memorial Day off, and then I have this Friday off as well. So I'm just, kind of taking it easy. How about you?
That sounds nice. You have this Friday off too?
I do. So I only got a 3-day week, basically.
Sounds quality. Okay. No, I enjoy my long weekend, but I'm back to the grindstone now. And I'm glad I am, because we do have a lot to talk about, as always. Mm-hmm. It is impressive how this quarantine just hasn't stopped people from keeping on when it comes to entertaining us. And I thought we'd start with a little fun story before we get to the very serious topics. Are you aware, Mia, that there is a movie coming up called Good, Bad, and Undead, where I'll just lay it out for you. Mm-hmm. So Peter Dinklage plays the vampire hunter Van Helsing, a very noted kind of stock vampire character. Jason Momoa, who is Khal Drogo, plays a vampire who is sworn not to kill again. They go from town to town, and Peter Dinklage pretends to kill the vampire, Jason Momoa, and then just takes money from the grateful townsfolk. It's a scam they're pulling. And then they get found out, and they're on the run. Ooh. What a great idea.
Yeah. That's really fun. I think people kind of want it. Was there ever a time where Khal Drogo and Tyrion, they've never really had a moment to be together, and he died so soon. So I think it's kind of fun to be like, hey, we have these two characters who are actors, I guess, who you've never seen together. We're going to put them in a movie. They're so iconic, especially right now. They're hot, they're hip, they're cool. Yeah. I think it's a fun idea.
Yeah, and Jen says, wait, what? And I agree. I heard that pitch, and I was like, who came up with that? Especially because, so Peter Dinklage is playing the heroic vampire hunter, even though you don't really think of him in a heroic role necessarily.
Yeah.
Just, I guess there aren't really a lot of, for better or worse, you wouldn't really think of, a small person in, a leading heroic role, even though it's clearly a comedy. And I love the idea of, him and Jason Momoa, someone who's, 4 feet tall, someone who's, 6 feet 5, whatever it is, being, a comedy duo. Really weird concept, really fun concept,
it's like the Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. It's kind of it's a fun dynamic to work with, and I think it's a fun concept. Since, usually I feel like when you do Van Helsing and vampires, it can kind of get pretty serious, and, it's vampire hunting. But I think it looks kind of fun, kind of like a What We Do in the Shadows vibe, where you could kind of have fun with the vampire genre.
Very much so. Yeah. As Sherry says, where will it be broadcasted from? Folks have been saying, I guess it'll premiere on, Hulu or something. As far as I know, it's just a movie. This will eventually end, and it'll just be in theaters. And it is called, what's it called again? It's called Good, Bad, and Undead, which is just, it sounds cute. We were talking yesterday on the Take the Black Club episode about whether after this is all over, after the coronavirus pandemic has passed, if people will be maybe ready for something a bit lighter, a bit less heavy than all the apocalypse stuff we're getting. And this sounds like it could be right up that alley.
Oh, yeah.
And again, it's fun to see Game of Thrones stars mixing it up in a way you wouldn't expect them to. So that is your blast of positivity to start this up. Ooh. Sherry says, Dinklage had better not shaft his vamp. Which could mean all manner of things, and we'll leave it to you. That's a great final word on that. I hope so, too. All right. So switching to a more serious, heftier topic. Basically, it looks like Hollywood is getting back to work. So last week we learned that James Cameron and John Landau and the Avatar 2 crew, which is a movie that I feel like not a lot of folk are excited for. If you're excited for that, tell us in the comments. But it's a hugely expensive, big tentpole endeavor, is resuming shooting this week, I believe, in New Zealand, one of the few countries that's like opening up to that kind of filming again.
Mm-hmm.
And the producer showed us like a shot of a couple of boats in a hangar. That's nice. I mean, honestly, I'm not terribly interested in Avatar 2. I mean, I liked the first one and everything. It was fine when I saw it back in the day. How about you? Were you taken by that?
I liked Avatar. I don't think it was the best movie in the world, and I don't think it deserves 4 or 5 sequels. But I don't know. I'll be interested to see what happens in the next sequel, I guess.
I'll be interested to see what happens in the next sequel, I guess.
You can quote me on that.
But I wanted to bring it up because this is like the first example of a major motion picture getting back to work. Like after all sets have been shut down for the past, 3 months-ish now? That's about how long it's been going on. And I guess the question that everybody's sort of has in their head but isn't really confronting directly, I feel like, is it a good idea to go back knowing that this might just make things worse? I mean, it's possible if people... Because I imagine that if Avatar 2 is going back to work, a lot of other people are going to look at that and say, okay, if James Cameron is going to do it, we can do it. We can go back to shooting in the world and start up again. Now, is that going to cause... Because, so the balance here is, do you do that because it's safe to do it again and you get things rolling? Or do you do it too early and risk putting more people in danger, and which ends up having this last longer than it would have had you just waited to start up again? Mia, do you think we're ready to get back into the thick of it?
Oh, gosh. What a big question. You know what? I'll start by saying I can see, obviously, why they picked New Zealand. It's kind of, they're safe. They're a neutral zone. But it, like you said, it maybe, but it does run the risk of, every new person that you introduce back into the country is an added risk to start things all over again. And so it's like you really have to be controlled about who's coming back to set, how you check them, if it's even possible to really check them. And I know or not most people. Some people are kind of like, I just want a vaccine and then I'll feel safe to fully resume things as normal. And I honestly don't know how long a vaccine can take. And I'm hearing it's not soon.
Yeah, that's the word. Next year at the earliest.
So it's I'm really conflicted. I think it depends on how many people they have on set. It looks like probably a lot. You need a lot. There's a lot of moving pieces that go into this. And especially, I'm assuming not everyone is from New Zealand. So that means they're coming from their respective hometowns. And now, from LA or New York or wherever they're at.
Before it is now. I mean, something that's interesting, too, I was reading an interview with, I think, the stunt person on Stranger Things. And they were saying, look, with stunts, you have to be, up in people's faces. And, wrestling and doing moves and getting put into harnesses and stuff, we're going to have to just disinfect people every 8 seconds. And just...
Basically,
the crew members can wear things like masks and gloves, but the actors can't, unless we're going to set all the new movies and TV shows in quarantine period, which they wouldn't allow, because the point of having a good-looking actor on TV is to show their face. That's the reason, FYI, everybody, that they didn't have helmets on Game of Thrones. Really, that's the reason there are no helmets in any medieval type stuff. Because they're in real life, they cover your face because you're going into battle looking for swords, but you never see them in movies because you're like, why did we pay for Guy Pearce to be in this? We're not going to show his face. It's that kind of thing. Why bother?
Which reminds me, they just the Golden Globes changed the rules literally just recently, probably today, about being able to wear a helmet and having eligibility as an actor. because of Pedro Pascal and The Mandalorian. Even though they said he was technically eligible for an award because he took his, in the last episode, he revealed his face. But that was kind of funny that, if you want to wear a helmet now and not show your face, you can still get awards credit for it at Golden Globes.
I think that completely should be the way it is. I mean, as he proved, you can do great acting with something covering your face.
Yeah.
So that's where it is right now. I don't know how it's going to shake down. We're getting a lot of comments here.
Ooh.
As Sherry says, how do you know it's the actor? I mean, I feel like The Mandalorian is kind of an unprecedented example. We all know who's under that thing, even if he only shows his face once.
Yeah.
Maybe they could change the plot of Avatar 2 so if I think what's happening on the Avatar planet. That is Pandora. WinterIsComing.net is the Avatar planet. Nerd school you there. As Jen says, I'm sort of confused about Avatar 2 because we assume that the love will have a baby. How can that be when he would need some swimmers to have a baby when I assume his Avatar is different? Oh, I see what you're saying. So, because Sam Worthington is in the body of the fake giant Avatar, does that, all work physiologically? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to know either.
They do have a family. They talk about the story, but it's going to be the main Avatar guy and Zoe Saldana's Avatar. They have a baby and they go into water. We'll see what happens. And as Sherry says, we the viewers are ready for new content. I feel like we are getting new content. We'll talk about HBO Max in a second here.
Mm-hmm.
It's just preventing the content drought that's going to happen in 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, as a result of all this.
Is what they're all thinking about right now. And as Sherry also says, still waiting on the Walking Dead finales. And you're right, we are still waiting on that. And there's been no news on it. So
wait! I got a screener for Walking Dead in my inbox, so I thought maybe it was
for which Walking
coming out soon. Let's see. I swear this says The Walking Dead season 10 screener, episode 15, The Tower.
Ooh, that is the most recent one that aired.
Okay,
the 16th is the finale.
Okay, what are they up to, AMC?
They sent you that just now.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe they had an updated version of it. Hey, just in case you want to watch it again.
Yeah, so right now there's no news for when it goes to premiere, but we'll be looking out for it. You're welcome, Jen. As far as new content goes, today was the release of HBO Max.
Yeah.
I don't think you've gotten it yet. I'm going to get it as soon as I possibly can, start looking into it. Okay, so I will say this. It feels like there is finally some buzz about it. I felt like there wasn't for a long time, but we got the Snyder Cuts coming to it. Today we got all the Harry Potter movies and the Fantastic Beasts movies, for the 8 people who care about that, are available to watch. And people are talking about it. Mia, does this make you more optimistic or pessimistic about HBO Max's chances to survive in a Netflix, Disney Plus dominated world?
I think it gives them a little bit more of an edge, definitely over something like I'm thinking about Kiwi, where they only have original content, so they're kind of sinking. I think because HBO has buffed themselves up with legacy content, all these franchises, Harry Potter and DC and Game of Thrones and anything you can. Maybe eventually people will say there's enough there for me to say, okay, I'll give it and buy it. Again, I'm still not in favor of the price at $15. To me, it just seems really, really steep compared to the competition. And I think maybe, I don't know how other people are thinking, but it's why should I shell out $15 for basically the same caliber of content that I'm getting on basically every other streaming platform?
I completely agree. That is the big disconnect for me. I acknowledge that it has good stuff. Everyone likes Friends and Studio Ghibli and, Doctor Who's fun. They got Harry Potter movies. They got plenty, and there is original stuff. There's no, killer app, really, but there is original stuff on there. But, Netflix had a lot of this stuff back in the day, and I was not paying $15 for it.
Yeah.
Disney Plus has all the Disney Fest we all remember. I'm not paying $15 for it.
Yeah.
I don't know frankly, I don't know where they get off charging
Yeah, it's
that
like, who do you think you are?
Who do you think you are?
I really wonder. I'm like, everybody, if we just hold off and not buy it, maybe they'll reduce the price by 50%. I really wonder if that would ever happen.
I mean, I am pretty curious to see their early subscriber numbers, to see if, I mean, because my guess is people are going to look at this and say, I mean, look, you got some cool stuff on here, but I can get like Hulu, Disney Plus, and Netflix for the price of this one thing. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And again, I just have a hard time believing like no one in the meetings. I mean, I assume someone brought it up, but clearly not well enough. Like no one was convinced to lower the price. So
and
that's my plot.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because even Disney Plus had like at least 3 different offers for you to choose from, like the 1-year membership, the 3-year, and then the bundle with ESPN and Hulu. So it's like, if you want, I believe it was like for $12.99, which is still less than HBO Max, you could get, this variety of streaming platforms. And I don't know where the disconnect came from.
It's gonna be real tough. So kudos for them for getting some hype going. Kudos to them for getting the Harry Potter films. I don't know how they swung that at the very last second.
Yeah.
But my prediction, I'm just going to lay it out. I don't think it'll be enough, and we'll wait for the numbers to roll in to see if we're right or not.
Yeah. Yeah, that price cut is coming. I can feel it.
All right. Meanwhile, they are still announcing new movies, even if they aren't making it at the moment. Mia, that's your name. What is your familiarity with the 1986 classic Labyrinth, starring David Bowie as the sexy tight pants Goblin King?
I have an interesting relationship with this movie.
Oh.
I've never really seen it, but I recently went through a phase where I've watched a 6-part documentary on Jim Henson's life. So I know enough about it, and I know a lot of random little minutia details about this movie. So I guess to answer your leading question, I am familiar enough with this movie.
Fair enough. And we bring it up because it is getting a remake from Doctor Strange director Scott Derrickson. What do you think of that? Are you excited about that?
Or rather, a sequel.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. It's a sequel.
Yeah.
Which is,
I
guess, preferable.
I don't know. I would like to see what they do with it, because I'm not really super attached to the movie. I know a lot about it, but yeah, it does make you wonder, since they've been very kind of vague on the details. Or Scott Derrickson is coming to direct. Obviously Henson Company is going to be working with it,
right.
But Jim Henson has passed away. Dave Bowie passed away about 4 years ago. So it's kind of like, what are you going to do without the Goblin King? How are you going to kind of revamp it or give it a sequel without kind of
saying Harry Styles or Janelle Monáe.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
are the two names I've heard floated.
I was looking up the past people, because I remember David Bowie initially wasn't the first person to be considered for the role. I heard at first it was Sting, who I believe Jim Henson really wanted. And then Wikipedia also said Prince and Michael Jackson. So they were really looking for a pop star sort of person.
I would have watched Prince hardcore as the Goblin.
That would have been really cool. But again, he also passed in 2016, so that is also unfortunate. But yes, I guess we could have another pop star his name be thrown into the ring. That'd be pretty interesting.
Well, Gaga might be a good fit for it. Is where my mind went for some reason.
Yeah, that's really her. And then Scott Derrickson is interesting because he has kind of a horror-ish background. When he was still attached to Doctor Strange 2, he was going to make that a kind of pseudo horror superhero film. And so it's I know this sequel isn't going to be full on horror, but I think an interesting kind of dark family fantasy would be pretty interesting to see out of this.
I mean, to me, when I see something like this, with some quick comments, Gaga's thoughts with Jim Casey. And apparently her cousin loved the movie back in the day. Excellent. I watched it at like a gathering of a bunch of people, like put it on one day when I was like at like a little party thing. I was like,
yeah,
okay,
it feels
sure.
like one of those types of movies.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, I see this and I think, okay, so we are not out of our Hollywood '80s obsession quite yet.
Oh no.
Because I mean, to me, like this fits right in with like we also had that sequel to The Dark Crystal on Netflix a while back.
Yeah, yeah.
Which apparently was quite good, by the way. People seem to like it a lot. I mean, we got the Stephen King Renaissance. We got the It movies. We have Top Gun around the corner. Apparently, they're making a splash. Like we're still really in this.
Yeah.
Let's dig into the '80s and make sequels and remakes of stuff. It fits right in there. If you're interested.
And yeah, it's funny because this is kind of like a cult movie. Like when this came out, it did not even make its money back. And it was as I dig into my Jim Henson history, it was kind of funny because he did Dark Crystal, and that was a flop because it was like 100%, his Muppet Puppets thing. So he was like, I get it. People like seeing the Muppets with humans, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to put in a Muppet, I'm going to put in some humans, and it's going to work, and it's going to be a big box office success like his regular Muppets. And then that still wasn't the case, which personally would have been really devastating for me to put in all that hard work into a movie and then see it kind of blow up in your face. But I think this is, kind of a nice honoring of his hard work to see that, so many people cherished it, and now they want to do a sequel.
I mean, in the long run, he did win on both of those. They both became cult movies over the years. So, just goes to show you, just because your thing doesn't blow up immediately doesn't mean it can't have like a long and healthy life. Let's go to some comments before we go on to the next bit. Yes, the 80s rocked, said Sherry. I don't mind the 80s. I was barely sentient for them, but there's some good stuff. I'm like kind of a little like reflexively against just like mining any decade for like all this remake and sequel material. Yeah. Like, because I just like see how it's happening. It's the people who grew up in the 80s are now at the age where they're executives and producers and choosing what to make. And of course they go straight for this stuff. As long as it's good, great. But I wonder if like people's enthusiasm for their childhood favorites are outstripping their creative instincts. Anyway, so some comments. Henrica says, doesn't want to get HBO Max right now. I need more new content. Doesn't seem worth it. Which, I sort of agree with you. I think they are offsetting their losses by including it free. This must be with Disney Plus. So many existing subscriptions, like AT&T and HBO, now that they are trying to overcharge everyone else. Yeah, that is so sort of what it seems like. And but Debbie says, so many watch lists, so many time, so little time. That. Oh, bye, Jen. We'll see you next week. And we have one more topic to hit, which is Mia. You have an advance review. You have seen the first season of the new Netflix kind of sci-fi-ish comedy.
Yeah.
Is it fair to call it sci-fi-ish? Space Force is what we're talking about. The new comedy with Steve Carell. It's from the guys who did The Office. Which guys exactly?
It is the co-creator. His last name is Daniels, and as well as one of the Greg Daniels, as well as executive producer, and of course Steve Carell is on board as well as one of the co-creators for this. Okay, so what's the deal with this show? Should we be interested? Yeah, it comes out this Friday, right? It does come out this Friday. So this is one of those shows where I really wanted to love it, and they kind of made it difficult for me to do that. I think if like you're a fan of The Office, you might be a little bit disappointed by this kind of right off of the bat, because it's lacking a certain amount of charm that The Office lacked. So I'll give you a little bit of background about what this is about. It's about Steve Carell, who plays this Air Force general turned to lead the new branch of the military, which is Space Force. And they kind of do this cut to where he's elected or he's put up into the job, and then 1 year later, he's kind of in the job. So we miss maybe some of the what could have been a fun part about him figuring this out, what is Space Force we're going to do. and it jumps into him and kind of like his scientist advisor, who was played by John Malkovich, trying to figure out, yeah, they're trying to figure out, like, how can they put people on the moon. I like John Malkovich. He was a good character. Ben Schwartz is in this. He's a little hit or miss. He's funny on his own, and this, he doesn't live up to his full potential. And Lisa Kudrow plays Steve Carell's wife, and she has an interesting role in this, which Netflix is like, don't tell anybody what's up with her. So I won't. Gotcha.
I mean, I like all of those people.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of, this is Greg Daniels, and he did The Office, he did Parks and Recreation, so kind of like a combination of, it's a government job, but it's more of like an office workplace comedy, and also it involves outer space.
Yeah.
It sounds like a good combination.
It really does. On paper, it sounds really good. This is what I legitimately think is the problem, is that nobody really knows what Space Force is. Nobody knows what Space Force does. Are they NASA? Are they, how militaristic are they? And so I think that's where they lost their direction. It's like, if you don't know what's going on and you really have to make it up along the way, you kind of don't really have a sense of direction, which means the characters can't really have like feasible objectives, which means kind of the plot gets all over the place. So they try to be funny. There's one episode where there's like a chimp in space and they need him to do some sort of repair mission, which that was actually really, really hilarious. But otherwise, it was just the humor was really hit or miss, I think, because they just, like, did not know where to go with the plot.
That's too bad to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, I would really love like a good new kind of half-hour goes down easy comedy right about now that could hit the spot.
Julie says another Avenue 5, and I think that's exactly it. It's like, it's such a good premise, but it's just the way it was executed and the way some of the jokes fall flat. It just ends up being really disappointing.
You've said the words Avenue 5, and my interest has evaporated completely.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't even want to talk about this anymore.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on it?
I would say the first episode is a little slow. Second is okay. It just takes a while for it to find its footing. I think that's been happening with a lot of shows where really it's hard to get invested in that first season. But probably, if you give them a couple more episodes or another season, they'll finally get it right. So that's what I have hope for.
Some sitcoms do take a season to get in their feet. I mean, The Office, the first one, took a season.
Yeah.
Parks and Rec did, too. The first season was kind of like a little rocky and it went off. Maybe Avenue 5 will as well. What's that?
Said not Community. That one. Not
Community,
that
not The Good Place. Plenty of them do have an exception, but maybe it's what we can hope for. And if you're interested, it's out on Friday. It could be good. Before we sign off, I will say it's not a sci-fi or fantasy show, but I am really loving Mrs. America on FX.
Yeah.
I'm watching it on Hulu. Are you watching that at all?
I haven't been watching it, but I've heard some good buzz about it.
It's really, really good. It's history-based, kind of history of the attempt to pass the Equal Rights Amendment back in the 70s and early 80s. And it has all these historical figures like, oh God, I'm blanking. Phyllis Schlafly is the conservative actress, but by Kate Blanchett. Again, like these really powerful people like doing TV, like John Malkovich on TV in a sitcom, Kate Blanchett being like a historical drama. It's pretty impressive stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'm blanking on the name of the main feminist. Oh, this is embarrassing, but whatever. Go on. It's really, really good. It's really, really interesting and shows both sides pretty fairly. And it's just a great look into the political process of the time. So I'm really, really enjoying that. Anything else you're watching?
I don't know. I've kind of blanked. It's been a really short week, and then it's also been a week of me getting all these screeners and interviews out. So I think I've reached a point where I don't know what's going on anymore. I need to get a little bit grounded.
Fair enough. Maybe we'll shake things up with a coronavirus opening up, and we'll all kind of get back on our feet. And then we'll see.
Oh, Rick and Morty. I watched.
All right.
Oh, of course. You're over here doing your... I am watching Rick and Morty. I think there's like one more episode this week or something like that. That's been kind of fun.
All right. Any other thoughts about anything particular, Mia? Anything at all?
No. It's getting hot. I've got like I need a fan in here because I've closed the windows because it's too noisy outside. So now I need to open the windows again before I pass out.
we'll sign off so you can open the windows again. I moved into an apartment last year with central air. It's the best thing I've ever done in my entire life. I love it so much. And we'll be back next week, you guys. If you're interested in getting even more of us, we did an extra episode yesterday all about kind of whether and how the coronavirus might affect entertainment going forward. I have a new extra article up this month about the kind of letting go of Game of Thrones a year out from the finale. We'll have another prize this month. That's all going on at the Wit Club. I will hopefully leave a little link for you in the chat box below. If you're interested. Other than that, we're back with our regularly scheduled free program, Take the Black Live, right here on the Winter Spring Facebook page next Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. Hope to see you there and have a pleasant, safe day and week. Bye-bye.
Bye.